I'm Jeanette Zeiderveld, author of Myofascial Release for Women's Health Self-Care that you can find at womensselfcare.net. This video is for trigger fingers or other tight finger problems. We're going to start with a little bit of warm-up and then some releases that will be 5 minutes each. So let's start with the warm-up. First, we're going to rotate the spine. We're going to put the arms 90-90 and turn your spine. Like this, just looking over your shoulder. Easy peasy, don't force. Just warming up a little bit. And breathe in one direction, out the other way. One more each way. Okay, now left hand on the right knee or the other way around. The other hand goes on the floor behind you. Sit up very tall and then just twist. And let's do 3 deep breaths here. Let your shoulders relax down and just relax your whole body. This is time for yourself, for maintaining your body. Now come back to the middle and go over the other direction. Pull your belly in a little bit when you breathe out. Sit tall. Shoulders relax away from the neck. All right, now let's roll the shoulders. Up, back, down, forward. My collarbones are going click, click, click. Okay, now one shoulder at a time. Breathe, relax. Be aware of whether your shoulders are up here or down, where they belong. It's normal that when you are sitting or standing, that your collarbones are almost horizontal. Okay, now we're going to do the neck. So put your hands clasped on your back and drop your head down. And then gently move your head over to looking over the shoulder one way, then make a half circle in front of you to come back up the other way. Left and right at your pace, the whole time still sitting tall from the pelvis up to the lower neck and just rotating the spine in the neck. Left, right, half circle. No forcing, just stay relaxed with it. One more each way. Okay, now the forearms, we're going to take the palm up and then with the one hand, bring the hand and fingers down and towards your forearm a little bit. Deep breath, shoulders relaxed, not up here. Then reach around, gently grasp your thumb and give a little tug there, taking a deep breath. Shake out your hand. Now palm down, grasp your fingers and hand and stretch the other direction. Deep breath. And the thumb. Deep breath. Shake out your hand. Now the other side, palm up. Stretch your hand and fingers back. Deep breath. Grasp the thumb gently. Shake out your hand. Grasp your fingers and hand the other direction. And the thumb. Now we're going to our first release, sitting upright. You can also do this sitting in a chair, by the way. Hands go together, fingers touching, shoulders relaxed, sitting upright, and you simply let the weight of your arms stretch on your fingers and your wrists. Don't push down as far as you can. When you do that, you get a good stretch, but not releasing so much. The body will protect itself against a very strong stretch because a little danger can be perceived. You might see on me that my right wrist does not bend quite as far as the left one does. It's also easy for me to go farther that way rather than with the right hand, probably because I'm right-handed and I have done more with my right hand. We use our hands so much. The timer is going, so don't worry about that. Just focus on what this feels like and start to give into the position. Where do you actually feel resistance? Think about letting go of all the work you've done with your hands, especially recently, or perhaps the work that got you some difficulty with your fingers, and now you're watching this. Think about the muscles in your forearms lengthening slowly. These are the muscles that do your grasping. Bend your fingers, make a wrist. A fist. Make a fist. Feel what happens. Where is the resistance? It's the awareness of it, the ability to feel it, that makes it possible to change it, release it a bit. I feel the most resistance in my right middle finger. That one is a little stiffer than all my other fingers. What do you feel? If your hands don't go down as far as mine, don't worry about it. Just go with where you are now. It's the only place you can start from. If you force, you will not be able to release and let the barrier move up a little. Keep sitting up nice and tall, shoulders relaxed. I'm feeling things in my right middle finger, like there's a little battle going on in there. So I just give it my attention. Okay, release that position. Now we're going to lie down on the floor. I'm going to use my other hand this time. I don't have a trigger finger, just the one stiff finger, that's it. So now we're going to take whatever finger you want to work on the most. You can take one finger with your other hand or two, whatever feels the most comfortable to you at this point. If you're just starting with it, you might want to take 2 fingers. So I'm going to start the timer. You're going to have your elbow on the floor next to you, and then you're going to do an arm pull, I call it, or from your finger. So hold the finger in such a way that you have contact with all 3 of the bones in your finger. So full grasp of your finger, and basically you just hold it. There's a very, very slight tug that you can do using basically the weight of the other forearm out that way. So now start to release at the shoulder blade. Picture your shoulder blade coming loose a little bit more from your rib cage and your spine. Feel what that does at the finger. Then what about that big ball and socket joint that is your shoulder? What about if that could decompress a little bit? Then what about all the muscles in your upper arm? Biceps, triceps, bunch of other ones. Let them lengthen all the way. And let the elbow decompress. All the while, just holding the finger gently, not squeezing as hard as you can or anything, just holding the entire length of the finger, pulling gently. Feel the whole arm. Now let go with the muscles in your forearm. Those busy, busy muscles, especially if you are on devices a lot, phones and computers, or if you handle tools frequently. Also, holding something that's not heavy for long periods of time is really quite hard on our hand muscles. Like holding a phone, for instance. It may seem like not a very difficult or hard task, but it's the static holding that's harder on your body than you would think. What do you feel from your shoulder blade to your finger? Now decompress the wrist. Imagine that wrist, all those little bones just sort of easing up from each other a bit, and then through the palm, which those bones in there are really just extensions of your fingers that are not individually wrapped, but together in the shape of your palm. And the tendons that have little bumps on them in the case of trigger finger on the inside of your finger, they're very long, all the way from the muscle bellies in the forearm to the very tips of your fingers. And we're going to ask those tendons to please heal, find their way back to how they used to be. Okay, let go of your finger. Okay, now you can stop here, especially if it's your first time doing this video, or you can continue for another 3 releases, so 15 minutes. The first 2 are going to be for the muscle bellies of your forearm, and then there's going to be another one for your finger that you really only should do if you don't have symptoms after you've done the session so far. I also highly recommend Lee Holden Qigong for upper back and neck pain. It has some wonderful movements and stretching in there that could help you. So now I'm going to put on the timer. We're going to grasp this muscle belly, which is for the muscles that grasp. That if you have trigger finger, would be the muscle belly to the tendons that give you trouble. So grasp it with your palm on one side and your fingers on the other side. So this is just all this flesh right here. Put it on the pillow or just on your knee is fine too. And then just feel the muscle group. You're not squeezing particularly hard. Remember, you're going to hold this for 5 minutes and you don't want your hand to fatigue. So gauge how much you press that way. Sort of like if you wanted to squeeze out a sponge very slowly. So you are providing a small force into your body that your body can then do something with. It will. Just kind of take my word for it as a myofascial release therapist. This might be very foreign to you. So just go with it. If there is some scooting around in there, you just kind of go with that. Like my hand is moving a little bit, and so I just keep adjusting my grip so that I maintain about the same amount of pressure into this muscle group. And so that scooting around, that's releasing. And just be thankful to yourself that you are spending time on these magnificent body parts. Our seems like the rest of our body is almost designed to carry these around so that our hands can do the things that we want to do and um, that we're interested in. If your arm wants to move, let it. We call that unwinding. It can be very subtle, like my arm is doing now. So I am still maintaining that same kind of little squeeze on the sponge, if you will, while my arm is doing these very subtle movements. I don't think that up or anything. It just kind of happens spontaneously from the wisdom of the body. And it's just something you can learn. Hmm. Sometimes coughing is part of releasing. Signs of releasing can be, well, little movements or heat or little vibration, discomfort of some type. Taking a deep breath, just spontaneously. When I first started doing much more manual work because I changed to Barnes myofascial release exclusively, I had to work on my hands, and that Qigong program definitely made it possible for me to do that much manual therapy all day with people. Now the other side. So I started the timer again. This time you grasp the sponge, let's say, on the other side. This muscle group operates these muscles for the wrist and for the fingers. So the tendons run from here all the way to the end. If people have trouble with this part of the tendon here is very short and wide, we call that tennis elbow. So that tennis elbow is just simply inflammation and pain in that tendon, which is very common and very treatable. You do not need surgery for that. All right, so relax your arm from the shoulder, sit upright, both shoulders just relaxed. Relax the arm you're working on. Check that your other hand that's doing the little squeeze is not working too hard. Remember, 5 minutes, and you want your hand to feel fine afterwards. So that will keep you from squeezing too hard. If you squeeze too hard, again, your body will just protect itself from that because it's perceived as a threat. So sometimes less is more. Just enjoy that you are taking time for yourself. I definitely feel more toughness in this muscle group on myself than I did in the previous one. And then I think, I should do this more often. Yeah. And of course, doing this once, it might help, but it's the cumulative effect of repetition, really, that is the most helpful, gives the best results. Yeah. Nice softening. Closing your eyes helps with feeling better. I mean, being able to feel more, taking out the dominant vision information. What do you feel from the inside? How do your fingers feel into you? Okay. Now the next one only do if you've done the video before and you didn't have any symptoms in your hand or finger. So this is the last one for this. We're going to grasp the finger in this position now. So with the shoulder relaxed, arm on the pillow, and just a little bit in what we call extension. So the wrist is not all the way back, but a little bit, and the fingers as well. And then we take the finger in the middle, and we're going to make sure that we have pressure into where the tendons would be. So not like this on either side of the finger, but with your thumb right into that squishy stuff there in the middle of your finger. So I'm starting the timer now. So you sit like this and think about that pull we did earlier lying down. It's like that, but more localized. So again, relax the arm from the neck all the way down, and just the smallest bit of pressure into that part of your finger. If you press too hard, you'll cut off the circulation, and you can tell that by the color of your last digit, the last part of your finger. And just have the intention of connecting with the tendon if you have trigger finger. And of course, I mean for you to do the finger that you have that in. And give it a very gentle stretch all the way from where it starts in the muscle belly down into your finger. And then imagine its path through the wrist. The wrist has a fairly large containment system for the tendons because the tendons need to be kept in their place. And then there are smaller ones in the hand and fingers. And when you have a trigger finger, there's a There's a bump on the tendon that's not making it through those little rings of tissue that it's supposed to easily slide through. It's like a callus. And if that bump can form, well, then it can also undo, maybe. That might depend on how long it's been there and to what degree it has come to be. So just give attention. Give attention to the muscles in your forearm, all the way down the tendon. Be curious. What is my body capable of? Maybe you will have a little realization of something that you might do too frequently with your hands. Yeah, my finger's really liking this. I chose my stiffer finger. I don't have a trigger finger. I just have this finger. It's just stiffer on this side, so it feels really good now at this point. Sometimes when you get into several minutes of doing one of these 5-minute releases, you could also have discomfort. Then you want to make sure that you hold right there where that started. You don't want to increase your pressure or pull. At this point, I really have just been holding my thumb only on the finger. A little easier. So yeah, the discomfort, then you just hold where it started and you feel it, feel it, feel it. If it's a very sharp pain, maybe back off a bit until it's milder. Oh, that went fast. All right. That's it for this one.